Good day everyone! Our lesson for today is all about genetic system. But first, this is just a school purposes only. Before we start, our objectives are, in this lesson, you will learn about the genetic system, which explain how life's instructions are stored, carried, and used inside our cells. After completing this lesson and the activity, you will be able to identify the roles of DNA, RNA, and proteins in the genetic system. Explain the flow of genetic information using the central dogma of molecular biology. Recognize the importance of the genetic system in heredity, health, and scientific research. Show your understanding through recall, matching, and a creative challenge activity. After you send in your activity and it has been checked, your certificate will be sent to your email. Please double check that your email address is accurate and that you included your complete name in your submission. Don't forget finishing this activity is necessary in order to receive your certificate. What is genetics? Field of biology that studies how characteristics or traits are passed from parent to child. Gergel or Mendel, father of genetics. Genetics is a field of biology that studies how traits are passed from parents to their children. There are traits can be things like height, color, or hair type. The father of genetics is Gregor Mendel because he discovered how traits are inherited through his experiment from pea plants.
So now let's talk about what is nucleic acid. A naturally occurring chemical compound that serves as the primary information carrying molecules in cells and make up genetic materials. This means that they hold and transfer the instruction needed for the growth, developmental, and functionings of every organism. In simple terms, nucleic acids make up our genetic materials such as DNA and RNA. Without them, cells would not know how to work properly or how to pass traits from one generation to the next. Here are the two types of nucleic acid, which is the DNA and RNA. DNA or deoxyribonucleic acid is the molecule that carries the genetic instructions for the developing, functioning, and reproducing of nearly all living organisms, while RNA or ribonucleic acid is a versatile nucleic acid essential for life, playing roles in protein synthesis, gene regulation, and carrying genetic information in some viruses. Let's talk about DNA. DNA contains the instruction for growth, development, and reproduction by storing genetic information in a code made up of 4 chemical bases, which is the adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. These bases are like the alphabet of life because they form the code that stores genetic information. Adenine always pairs with thymine, and guanine always pairs with cytosine. Their pairing is very important because it keeps the DNA structure stable and ensures that genetic information is copied correctly when cells divide. As you can see in this picture, DNA has a shape called a double helix, which looks like a twisted ladder. This side of the ladder are made of sugar and phosphate, called the sugar-phosphate backbone. This structure is what makes DNA strong and stable, allowing it to store all the genetic information inside our cells.
How proteins is made using information from DNA. DNA contains the instruction for an organism to develop, survive, and reproduce by storing genetic information that dictates the synthesis of proteins which perform most bodily function. DNA is very important because it gives instruction for making proteins. Proteins do almost everything in our body, from building muscles to fighting diseases. Here's how it works. First, DNA is copied into RNA. Then, RNA brings the message to the ribosome, and the ribosome connects amino acids together to form proteins. So, without DNA instruction, our body will not be able to make the proteins we need to survive. What is RNA contains? RNA or ribonucleic acid contains a chain of ribonucleotides, each made of a ribose sugar, a phosphate group, and one of four nitrogenous bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine, or uracil. RNA is made of ribonucleotides. Each has three parts: a sugar called ribose, a phosphate group, and one of four bases: adenine, guanine, cytosines, or uracil. Notice that instead of thymine like DNA, RNA has uracil. That's one big difference. So RNA is built almost like DNA, but with a few changes that make it ready to carry messages and help make proteins. How does RNA create proteins? The ribosome uses the information in messenger RNA to link together the transfer RNA bound amino acids in the correct order to make each different type of protein in the cell. Human cells make nearly 100,000 different types of proteins, each with its own unique messenger RNA sequence. RNA creates proteins with the help of the ribosome. Messenger RNA carries the instruction. Transfer RNA brings the amino acids and the ribosome connects them in the right order. This process forms the proteins our cells needs.
So, what is the similarities between DNA and RNA? So, DNA and RNA share key similarities. Both are nucleic acids, essential for life, made of nucleotides, sugar, phosphate group, and nitrogenous base, and possess a sugar phosphate backbone. They also share three of the four nitrogenous bases, which is the adenine, cytosine, and guanine, and they are both involved in protein synthesis. Now, what is the difference between DNA and RNA? DNA is a double-stranded helix that uses deoxyribose sugar and the base thymine to store genetic information. In contrast, RNA is typically single-stranded, uses ribose sugar, and replaces thymine with uracils. Lastly, DNA's main job is to store genetic information, while RNA acts as a messenger that carries those instructions to make proteins.
Can RNA exist without DNA? Yes, RNA can exist without DNA. Many modern RNA viruses have RNA genomes. In the prevailing RNA world, hypotheses suggest that RNA was the primary genetic material before DNA-based life evolved. These RNA entities can exist and replicate independently of DNA, although they are not cellular organisms. Usually, RNA comes from DNA, but in some cases, RNA can exist without DNA. For example, some viruses only have RNA as their genetic material. A real example is the COVID-19 virus, which has RNA instead of DNA. There is also a theory called the RNA world hypothesis, which says that before DNA evolved, life may have started with RNA. So yes, RNA can exist without DNA. But in most living things today, RNA still needs DNA as the main source of instructions. Why are nucleic acids so important? DNA holds the blueprint for making proteins, while RNA play crucial roles in protein synthesis by copying and transferring the genetic code to ribosomes. Beyond their core genetic function, nucleic acids are involved in energy transfer as ATP, cell signaling, and are the basis for evolutionary processes and biological technologies like biosensors. Nucleic acids are very important because they carry the instruction for life. DNA is like the blueprint that tells us how to make proteins, while RNA is the helper that makes sure proteins are built. But that's not all. Nucleic acids also play roles in energy transfer, like ATP, and even in cell communication. Without nucleic acids, our cells would have no instruction, no proteins, and no way to survive. In short, nucleic acids are the important foundation of all life.
So here is the summary that you can check, and after that, you will answer two activities about the genetic system.